Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lefty's Place. Yes, guys, tonight is the night the NBA Finals begin, and you know what that means. Lefty's Place brings out this Finals preview. I'm going to be talking about both teams, how they've been doing in the playoffs. Obviously, both are at 12-3 and looking very good. Like, these have easily been the two most dominant teams in the playoffs. So it just feels right that they meet each other in the finals. Your Miami Heat are taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. And today is the beginning of it, man. Game 1 is tonight, and I'm just so excited to get this started. I mean, just think about what the Heat have done to get to this point. All the things that they've done. I mean, to sweep the Indiana Pacers and TJ Warren, about all those TJ Warren stan fans talking about how, TJ Warren's the best player in the bubble. No, we shut that down real quick. And then the the overall number one seed, Milwaukee Bucks, took them out in 5 games. Giannis Antetokounmpo getting injured at the end of that series did absolutely nothing. The series was already over. The Heat and Spoelstra game planned for him perfectly, and we took him out. And then we knock out the Boston Celtics, one of our biggest rivals in the Eastern Conference, in 6 games. A team that, for most of the season, we looked at as one of our biggest, or one of the most dangerous matchups for us going into these playoffs. And they've just looked so dominant. They have played their best basketball at the right time. They are on another level, and specifically Bam Adebayo, and obviously Tyler Hero, who are taking their game to just a whole new height. Obviously we knew the future for the Miami Heat was bright with how Tyler Hero was looking. Duncan Robinson is young. Bam Adebayo is young. We have and obviously there's just a culture that we have built. But now it looked even better. So in this episode, I'm going to just talk about how both teams have done. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the matchups for each team, and then just what each team will do in order to try to win this series, and ultimately what it'll take for the Miami Heat to try to defeat the Los Angeles Lakers and, of course, LeBron James. So let's get this started with the Los Angeles Lakers, who throughout these playoffs, it's been a 2-man show. It has been the LeBron James and Anthony Davis show. Those two guys are easily the 2 best players heading into this series. They're top 10 players. AD is probably reaching up to the top 5 with his two-way ability. LeBron James has been an animal in the playoffs, nearly averaging a triple-double. Only one other player is averaging double digits on this team. That's the real problem with this team. They don't have a lot of depth. It's mainly those 2 guys, and then everyone else kind of follows suit. But they do have some good veterans. They got Danny Green, who was won last season with the Toronto Raptors. You got Rajon Rondo, who has proven he can lead a team and not lead a team, but win the title. And you got, who else you got in there? Yeah, KCP has been playing well. He's probably been their 3rd best player. Leading into the finals. Really close with Rajon Rondo. But overall, it's been Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Those are the guys that are going to lead this team to the promised land. And, AD averaging nearly 29 points per game, 9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1.2 steals and blocks. He's taking his game to another level and proving those doubters wrong that he can't, perform on the big stage. That game 2 game-winning 3-point shot shows that he has the clutch gene. That was a Kobe shot, and this team is scary. And specifically on the defensive end, that's where this team is elite, and it starts with Anthony Davis. He was 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and you got KCP who can defend, Danny Green. You got at least 6 players averaging a steal per game. Danny Green's at 0.9, but I consider that another guy. So pretty much 6 guys averaging a steal per game. The biggest difference with this team is the fact that they cannot I don't feel like they can defend the perimeter as well as the Boston Celtics perimeter defenders can. Obviously with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart, they are way more aggressive than what this Lakers team will bring to the Miami Heat, or bring at the Miami Heat. Kyle Kuzma is the only other player averaging double digits on this team, and I mean, I feel like he's shooting 46% from the field, but 31% from three, which was one of his like biggest weapons. He doesn't have that anymore, and I just feel like Kuzma, I'm not really scared of him too much. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of bodies that we can toss on him. Same thing with LeBron James, but that's the thing. LeBron James is the key for this team. His passing ability and just his the potential of taking over any game he plays is dangerous, and something that the Heat need to game plan for. I don't know how you game plan for a GOAT, but it's going to be very, very difficult. This team is very strong. One of the things that I like the most about this team is their front court depth, and that's one of the biggest differences between the Heat and the Lakers. They got Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, two guys that they could toss out there to battle against Bam Adebayo, and to give Anthony Davis some rest. The Heat don't have that. I don't feel comfortable with putting Kelly Olynyk on either of those guys, even though you might have to give Bam Adebayo some rest. And I definitely don't feel comfortable with putting Myers Leonard out there in a final series against the Lakers when he hasn't played all playoffs. I feel like that was one of the, even though he kind of became unplayable at some point because he just looks too slow for the playoff game, but. Yeah, man, I feel like that's where it's going to ultimately hurt us. But overall, I mean, the Lakers have been playing huge in these playoffs, 12-3, like I said already, and have pretty much run through the Western Conference. Have beat the Trailblazers in 5 games, the Rockets in 5 games, and, of course, the Denver Nuggets in 5 games as well. So they're just, they're playing on another level, and a lot of that has to do with the huge play of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So now let's get into the Miami Heat, who their box score looks a lot different from the Lakers because they got 6 players averaging double digits from Jimmy Butler, Dragic, Adebayo, Hero, Crowder, and Robinson, all averaging over double figures. And that's going to be the biggest key for the Heat. Can they get the full array of players to perform at a high level in this series against a very elite defense? That's going to be, extremely hard to keep up. I do feel like, Jimmy Butler averaging 20 points per game, so, 20.7 points per game. He's going to need to up that a bit in this series, especially with, them focusing so much on the three-point shooting. He needs to take advantage of the fact that they won't be focusing on him so much on the perimeter. Obviously, they're still going to have, their top. They might put LeBron James on him. I don't really see that happening. They might end up putting LeBron just because, they don't want LeBron having to chase a guy like Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero around around the three-point line. They'll probably have Danny Green and KCP following those guys around. So you might end up seeing a Jimmy Butler, LeBron James matchup early in these playoffs, probably tonight in Game 1. So Jimmy Butler needs to find a way to get himself going. But the biggest key for the Miami Heat in winning this series is going to be Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo needs to play pretty much the exact same way he was playing in the Boston Celtics series late in that series. Obviously, Game 5, he said, it put it on me. But then for the way that he came out in Game 6, that's the way he needs to play this entire series. They need that type of aggressive Bam Adebayo. I've been saying it all season long. Bam Adebayo can take on anybody on the offensive end because of his quickness and, just his IQ. He's a very smart player. And for being so young, and we need him to be as aggressive as possible. It's unbelievable. I'm actually going to... Who would have thought that he would have led us in scoring in the Eastern Conference Finals? I know he had a matchup, a good matchup to take advantage of with Daniel Tice and them not having too many bigs that they can rely on. But to lead us in scoring with 22 points per game, he averaged 22 points per game, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.7 steals and 1 block per game. Those are huge numbers from Bam Adebayo, and that is what we're going to need once again. Maybe if he can even step it up a little bit more, but to get that from Bam, that would be huge for us in this series, especially with him getting a lot of tough matchups with, they might put Anthony Davis on him, they're going to put JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard on him, a lot of good defensive players that are going to make it tough for him. But yeah, so it's going to be very important in getting Bam Adebayo going in this series. Same thing with our three-point shooters. Tyler Hero, Jay Crowder, and Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson specifically needs to, just let it fly and make the Lakers adjust their defense to him, because he has already shown the ability that even when he's guarded, like even when they're double teaming him, they blitz him off those screens that he takes. He has shown the ability to be able to make the right pass that opens things up for the entire Miami Heat offense. That is why I have consistently said that Duncan Robinson is the most important player for our offense. I mean, it's obvious that the way the gravity that he emits on that floor is something that you don't get from like just any player. You only get that from a 3-point specialist, and that's what Duncan Robinson is. For Tyler Hero and Jay Crowder, especially Jay Crowder needs to find his 3-point shot again. He averaged 25%. He shot 25% from the 3-point line against the Boston Celtics. And I know that the Celtics are a good 3-point shooting defense, but they were actually content with leaving him open. And that was a lot of his shots. He was actually open on most of his shots. He just was not hitting them. And that needs to drop in this series. We need our 3-point shooters to be hitting on all cylinders in order to really make a dent on the Los Angeles Lakers, because they clearly have the better top tier talent. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are, two of the best players in the NBA, and they're going to make it hard on this Miami Heat defense. They need to figure out a way to really slow them down, and if not, at least keep up with them on the offensive end. And Tyler Hero coming off the bench has been huge for us. I mean, he's been that sixth man that, with Goran Dragic going to the starting unit and none pretty much being a no-show, Tyler Hero has stepped up and pretty much been that Goran Dragic that we had off the bench all season. Just way more dynamic. The way that he can shoot the ball, his driving ability has been huge. His playmaking has been big, and he's been a very underrated defender. Like, he has actually been, holding his own on the defense. Like, the few times I saw him guarding Kemba Walker, I was very, very impressed with the way he, stayed on the ground, did not go on those pump fakes that Kemba Walker usually gets. And that step back that Kemba usually, gets everybody on, he was actually playing him really well. So I feel like Tyler Hero is going to be a big-time X factor in this series. If he can, no stage has been seen, it's shown, no stage is too big for this 20-year-old. And if he can do it once again, I mean, it would just be, it wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe it, because he's already done it literally this entire playoffs. But it would just be like, oh my God, we got a fucking stud. But yeah, like if we move on on the bench, I mean, we got Andre Iguodala who's there. I mean, he's shown that he can defend LeBron in the finals. I mean, not stop LeBron. No one can stop LeBron James, but he has shown the ability to, at least slow him down a little bit. And he's done it already. Like, the experience that he has in the finals, especially guarding LeBron James, is going to be huge for the Miami Heat. And like Kelly Olynyk, he kind of became unplayable in that Boston Celtics series. I feel like he can really, play a big role in this series, especially if the Lakers go two bigs. They'll need to probably put Bam on Anthony Davis, and then Kelly Olynyk will need to hold his own against a guy like Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee. He'll need to box out. He'll need to be tough, and I think that's where the Heat can really suffer, because we know that Kelly Olynyk is not a good interior defender at all. Like, but that means he'll need to be hitting those threes. He wasn't really doing it for a lot of this playoffs. He's shooting 31% from the 3-point line in the playoffs. That is not going to cut it. We need Bubble Kelly back. Just straight up, we need Bubble Kelly back, and if we do not get him, it's going to be really tough for us to win this series. So next, now that I've talked about the Miami Heat and I talked about the Lakers, let's go into the matchups and see which team has the advantage in each matchup. So at the point guard spot, the Los Angeles Lakers have been going with LeBron James there, and with us, we got Goran Dragic. Now, this is obvious. The Lakers clearly have an advantage here. I mean, LeBron James, his combination of size, IQ, and just athleticism is unmatched by anyone in NBA history. And it's going to take a lot for the Miami Heat to really slow him down. I think he's still going to get his. The one that we'll have to focus on and trying to take him out of his game is Anthony Davis, because I feel like LeBron James is just a guy. Even though we have more players to toss at LeBron James than Anthony Davis, I just feel like we can game plan for Anthony Davis more, kind of put him into shots that we want him to take. Where with LeBron James, we might put him in a spot we want, but then his passing ability will just find somebody open, and it'll be very, very hard to handle. And then when LeBron gets ready on defense, when he actually tries on defense, he's one of the best defenders in the entire league. So LeBron James definitely gets the advantage here, or the Lakers get the advantage here in the point guard spot. But with Dragic, you still get a really solid score. A guy who can shoot the three, can get fast break layups, and we'll just need him to really settle our offense in a lot of these spots, because when a lot of the time when it gets rough and the Heat can't find a bucket, Dragic usually comes through for us. The difference is that now we haven't faced a team that has the kind of interior, bigs that the Lakers have. I know with the Brooklyn Nets, we had to go up against Brook Lopez, and with Indiana, we took on Miles Turner. Both really good shot blockers, but the amount of size that the Lakers have, that they can put out on the floor is definitely a different beast. So next in the shooting guard spot, we got KCP versus Duncan Robinson. And this is where I think it gets interesting. It's very, very close, but I feel like KCP has a slight edge because he's a bit better of a defender, and he's shooting so well in the playoffs. He's actually technically shooting better than Duncan Robinson. Robinson's shooting 40% from the field, or from the three-point line in the playoffs. Let me check that, make sure I'm right. Yeah, literally 40% from the three-point line, and while 40% from the three-point line, while KCP is shooting 42% from the three-point line. And he gives you a little bit more defensive versatility, so I feel like there's a slight edge with KCP. However, Duncan Robinson is the better three-point shooter because his volume and efficiency is not matched by KCP, and Duncan Robinson definitely has a bigger chance of blowing up in any game this series. Next, in the small forward spot, we have Danny Green versus Jimmy Butler. And I feel like you might see that matchup a lot of times because Danny Green has shown that he can, defend bigger players. However, on the offensive end, he's been very inconsistent. So this matchup, even if he was consistent on the offensive end, this match would obviously be in the Heat's favor. But in the end, we need Jimmy Butler to take advantage of this. He needs to clearly be the best player out of this. I mean, he's going to be regardless, but it's just we need an aggressive Jimmy Butler. And if we see an aggressive Jimmy Butler, he's going to easily win this matchup and be a catalyst for the Heat's title win. Now, at the power forward spot, we have Anthony Davis and Jay Crowder. Anthony Davis obviously wins this matchup. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. He's an amazing two-way threat, so he's going to give the Heat a lot of problems on both ends. But Jay Crowder can make this, he's not going to make this. I mean, it's like this. Jay Crowder's down here, Anthony Davis up here. But he can bring it a little closer if his three-point shooting is on point. He needs to have that three-point shooting working. If not, they can just leave him out there, and it'll give Anthony Davis plenty of, leeway to just help out other players. So it's going to be important for Jay Crowder to be hitting his three-point shot if the Heat want to make a run in this title, in this title run. Or in the finals. I'll just say the finals. I'm not saying title run. Now, in the center position, this is where I feel like the Heat need to win the matchup. It's going to be Dwight Howard versus Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo needs to absolutely dominate Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's a great defender. I'm not trying to diss Dwight Howard, but Bam Adebayo is the new age center. He's a great passer. He's a great rebounder. He can defend any 1 through 5 and can. But on the offensive end, he needs to be aggressive. He needs to show that Dwight Howard cannot guard him and force the Lakers to use Anthony Davis on him to then make the Lakers adjust to you. You cannot let them just have Dwight Howard out there. And if Dwight Howard wins this matchup, that's pretty much going to spell doom for the Miami Heat in these finals. So next, let's go into the I didn't say it, but this is obviously Bam Adebayo has the edge in this matchup. There's no doubt about it. Now, next we got the bench, and I feel like this is where the Heat really start separating themselves. We have Kelly Olynyk, Tyler Hero, Andre Iguodala, Derek Jones Jr., Kendrick Nunn. I mean, Kendrick Nunn might not play too much in this series, but they have just more guys that are just performing big numbers in these playoffs, and they're gonna need this. While on the Lakers side, you got Rajon Rondo, you got Markieff Morris, Kyle Kuzma, Caruso, and JaVale McGee if he plays. But I just feel like on the Miami Heat side, they have way more off the bench and just guys that can blow up on any given night. So I definitely give the edge to the Miami Heat in this bench unit. And now in coaching, you got Frank Vogel versus Eric Spoelstra. This is a no contest here. I'm very impressed with the way Frank Vogel and his coaching staff has been able to adjust to any team that he faces, any kind of style that he faces off against. He's been able to adjust and adapt to those teams and has completely dominated the Western Conference playoffs. But Eric Spoelstra, his game planning and his in-game tactics are unmatched. It's still unmatched. There's no guy there was no guy in the playoffs since the semifinals that I felt could match up against even Nick Nurse. I feel like Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, maybe the second best coach. He's top 2, but he is going to be. It's going to be very important in seeing what Eric Spoelstra can do in order to try to stop. What game plan he puts together to try to stop or slow down LeBron James from just taking over this series. And but I do see that Eric Spoelstra has the matchup advantage here. So that's going to wrap it up for my finals preview. I'm just so excited to get this going. I just want to see the Miami Heat take on the Lakers and take on LeBron James and stop him from winning his 4th title. That would be huge. And I mean, I'm going to be out there on 8th Street or Bird Road with my pots and pans. I mean, I'm going to be losing my mind if the Miami Heat win this title. The most unprecedented title win in Miami Heat history, or probably in NBA history. So this is going to be huge, and I'm just really excited to get this going. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for any future Miami Heat or just Miami sports content, and I'll catch you guys later.